numbers are out this morning on Canada's economy. The latest government data shows Canada's gross domestic product was essentially unchanged in November. That follows a slight decline of 0.3% in October. Contractions in goods-producing industries offset expansions in the services sector. A live look at Calgary at this hour. The city is playing host to this year's Conservative Convention, with Pierre Poilievre up for a leadership review this evening. And joining me now to talk more about this is Regan Watts, Conservative strategist. Regan, good to see you.
Morning, Renee.
So, according to any experts, pundits, Pierre Poilievre is expected to sail through this vote. But really, this comes on the heels of some losses for Pierre Poilievre. He lost two members who crossed the floor to the Liberals. He also lost his seat in the last election. Do you think he'll get the level of support he needs to move forward?
Well, you also forgot one other loss, which is he lost the last election after being ahead 20-plus points. Look, I expect Mr. Poilievre will be just fine in the leadership review vote this evening. My expectation is north of 80% is what he'll receive from the delegates who are there. Mr. Poilievre's challenge, though, is not the convention. It's not today. It's not his leadership review. It's the weeks and months ahead. And you alluded to some floor crossings earlier, and I think those are obviously moments in time that Mr. Poilievre needs to reflect upon. But it is, as the year goes on and the world gets a little bit crazier every day, you know, when Canada is entering or continues to be, pardon me, in a period where there's a lot of instability, you know, Mr. Poilievre's challenge is going to be, how does he compare to the person who's sitting in the Prime Minister's office? You know, and if you were to grow in a lab synthetically or on a farm organically, a Prime Minister built for this moment in time, you would grow a Mark Carney. That's just a fact. He's a well-educated, well-respected person with extraordinary experience, and he is coded for times like this. Mr. Poilievre's challenge is to continue to hold the government to account, but in doing so, he's facing a formidable opponent who, and I say this as a Conservative, has many Canadians purring, including myself.
I want to pick up on something you said, that Pierre Poilievre has some things to reflect on. Do you think he's done some reflecting? Have you seen him evolve after that last federal election, which you brought up as well?
Well, I mean, evolution is an interesting word. There's many in the Conservative Party who have been sharing their views with him personally, including myself, about the need to adjust his tenor and his tone to continue to build his team. And you know, it should be acknowledged that he started to do that in the last few weeks or so. Some of us have been telling him to do it for a year, but better late than never. The thing for Mr. Poilievre that he needs to do in terms of his reflections and as he adjusts is to remember to be consistent. He's very good at being a consistently angry opposition leader. What he needs to do, and he has shown this, is to be a little more statesman-like in a tone that people will respond to and say, hey, that's a prime minister in waiting. And so, you know, his reflections, I believe, and I think he is doing this, are in that vein. But there's a long road ahead, and governing this country is not easy, and earning the will of the people to be governed, or the right, pardon me, or the privilege, takes a lot of work. You know, this weekend, as I say, is a moment in time. The heavy lifting comes in the months and weeks ahead. And, you know, Mr. Poilievre has it within him to put his best efforts forward. But there's a lot of game to play before the next campaign. And it's all in Mr. Poilievre's hands to set himself up for success if he so chooses.
What about the renewed talk of Alberta separatism and the escalating talk of it? How do you expect Poilievre to address that?
Well, that's a very difficult problem for him for a couple of reasons. One, he represents an Alberta riding right now where there's a number of frustrated Canadians. But two, he represents a party that has a number of seats in Alberta where separatism is on the rise. Not to mention challenges that we have in Quebec, where we have a PQ party who are leading in the polls, and there's going to be an election this year. You know, the country feels tight right now in a way that I can't remember in my lifetime. You know, we're all all a bit on edge here. Some of that is what's happening in the United States and how Canadians react to it. But we've got to let some air out of the ball. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we need our federal leaders, and Mr. Carney's been doing this, and as has Mr. Poilievre a little bit, giving people the space to be heard. How does he manage Alberta and the separatism discussions? I think in some ways we need to take Premier Smith's lead and the Prime Minister's lead. Mr. Poilievre should be, we should take a one Canada approach, as we saw from the Premiers and the Prime Minister earlier this week, to some of these issues. But it should also be said that the U.S. government, who have been critical of Canada for, quote unquote, having views or meddling in U.S. domestic affairs, and I'm referring to the ads that the president was not happy with that Premier Ford ran. You know, the U.S. government, as reported by the Financial Times this morning, and we heard on comments on the weekend from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, has decided to opine on Canadian domestic affairs. So the most important thing, and it's really not about Mr. Poilievre, is that we are one country. We are proud Canadians. Yeah, every once in a while we have disagreements, but this is a wonderful country that we should continue to fight for. And in a face of unprecedented times, it's up to our political leaders, Mr. Poilievre, Mr. Carney, and others, to bring the country together. And for me, to answer your question directly in a long soliloquy, is he's got to put some arms around people and make them feel heard and engaged and part of the country, so we can all move forward.
All right, and that vote on Pierre Poilievre's leadership of the Conservative Party takes place tonight. Of course, we'll be watching. Regan, thank you very much for your time. Great chatting with you.
Nice to see you, Renee. Stay warm.